This is not a banjolele. I was corrected, and it's a banjolin, a mandolin banjo, so a banjolin with a mandolin type tuning, which is much the same as a banjolele, but this has got an almost full-size banjo body. I don't have an awful lot to do with it, maybe tidy it up a bit, but I'm a bit concerned about the height of that neck and how it's adjusted, but we'll find out as we go along. The thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a little tiny drop of oil on that head, on each of the head, just a tiny drop of 3-in-1 on each of them, and I'll use the other camera. Right, okay, I'm going to cut these off. Be 30 years old. Do you mind, Georgie girl? Just move your ass over there so I can do the rest. Thank you. Georgie girl's chewing away, aren't you? You can forget it. You're not getting the strings. Chew away on the ones that are on the guitar, and they're coming off very shortly too. So if you don't take your advantages now, you're going to lose them. Mind your bum. Mind your bum. That's a brass on the top, but fragile by the look of it. So I'm going to see what I can do with it. Put that in the jar in a second. Right, everything's oiled. I'm just going to take off the rest of the strings. People might want to see what I'm doing here, and I'm sure you're a big bums in the way. Yeah. How can people see what I'm doing? Oh, I see you want love and attention now. Come on then. Well, that's the end of my work. Because she wants attention, she gets attention. It's been pretty well played. The frets are pretty worn on this. Oh, she's down because she saw the string. Alright, so I'll just finish off. Whatever Georgie wants, Georgie gets. Except for too much food. I don't want a fat little cat. That's not healthy. No, she wants to steal the bridge. That's not going to happen. Pussycat. Right, that's them all done. And now I'm going to swap camera. Since the day it was bought, I'm hoping to find some sort of identification marks inside it, maybe date marks or anything out there, but maybe I'm just hope above hope. Right, okay. There's nothing on the inside of that. Nothing. The thing that I do see, which concerns me a little bit, is there's a wooden dowel down the center, and it's cracked. I know you can see it, it's cracked there. And so it looks like it's got a little bit of damage to it. It's fixable. Fixable. Everything's fixable. But I'm going to do a little bit of investigation. Another little thing here is somebody's been working up at this end, drilling holes and moving things. So I'll have to dig in a little bit further to see if maybe it's had problems, because usually there's a screw fitting that fits both ways that you can tighten and loosen, which adds to my concern about the position of the neck. because that looks to be drilled in. That there looks to be drilled into the... Why it would be drilled in, I'm not sure, but it's drilled in, but it's not finished. So it could be an aftermarket repair of some sort. But we will find out as we go along. It's definitely not what it should be. And here I am thinking that this is going to be a simple, easy repair. But it's an interesting way where they tighten the drum head. They tighten that and it pulls the skin tight against these that are holding on a galvanized metal bar, which is showing some signs of wear, but not a big problem. So, right, that's the next thing we'll do. I'll investigate this to find out why, measure it, make sure it's all in right nice circles, and come back to you and get that on camera. Lights, camera, action. Right, where we are is that I tried cleaning that, but it's not going to clean up very well. So I've cleaned it, but you wouldn't believe it. Now what I'm going to try to do, well actually what I'm going to do, never mind try to do, is I'm not going to do anything about that fix, because what it needs is a new trim bar right across the whole thing that you can adjust, and then try to patch the bar up with something. If not, I'll put a new bar in. So I'm going to take that bar out. I don't know what's up at this end, whether it's been glued in or whether it's just sitting up against it, holding it in place, which is what I'm hoping it is. This is a decent enough fix if the bar broke or something went wrong with the guitar. So we can't really say, oh, this is terrible. You know, you use what you have at the time. That's a decent screw. It's a decent. Did you notice an 8-string mandolin, and it's only got 4 holes? But we'll see. Maybe we won't see. But I don't think it is the original tailpiece. I may have to put a tiny shrimp in. Shrimp. Might actually just put a small washer between the neck and the head. Right, okay, what have I got here? I'm loath to break it if I can't help. You see there's been a little attempt at a shim on the thing. Can you see that? A little shim on each side. Just not quite enough. But it looks like that could be glued in. But it's so solid, I'm not going to remove it. That's supposed to be the adjuster on the bar, but Grandpapa's done a pretty good job of putting that in. So we're keeping that bar. Grandpapa must have drilled that hole too. Not bad. I'm going to glue this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this split bar and clamp it together, and then I'll wrap something around it a few times, maybe some hemp or something strong, and then so okay, that's going to have to sit now for a good 48 hours, which one of the things I hate. I want to get on with it. Right. So I've had to be a little bit destructive because I had to cut the bar off. It's bent the bar downwards. I don't know. And that meant I don't have any room for the neck. But also there's some shims in there that have been glued in. Can you see that? I mean, those shims have been glued in, so I have to take those shims out and make the neck go the other way. So I'm going to remove that altogether, and I'm going to use a new piece of dowel You couldn't take that out. Really well glued in, maybe even screwed in, hard to tell. But I'll use that butt end for the new dowel and figure out something there. Okay, trying to show you the issue as best I can. That's it tight, but the neck needs to be that way there, right? And when I bring it in, when I take that off, the bar was hitting the skin, so the bar was pointing downwards, so I needed to twist that back, and the bar was hitting there, and if I pulled the bar up, then I'm putting strain on it. So I'm going to put a new dowel in. Was toyed, I have a threaded bar, steel bar. I'm toying with that, but it would look pretty ugly at the nut would look pretty ugly at that end. So a steel bar, similar to what they normally make, but it might be a bit too ugly, so I'm going to use another wooden dowel. The other aspect is that it's 10.5 inches from there to there, but it's wider from there to there. So it's obviously been pulled in over the ears, and I might try putting a washer or two and making this end a little bit, just to give an even tension on the drum. And I might not even do anything with it. As long as it's got some strength from there to there, I might be happy, because the strings are going to pull that tight against there. So you will need a counter action here, and we'll see what I use. I may not actually use the dowel at all going from there. I might put the dowel from there to there. One problem with that is that there's a big hole screwed through there which needs to go into the dowel to give it strength. So we'll see as we go along. But I have finally got the neck set to the level I want it to be at. It's not going to be fixed set there, but it's going to be set roughly somewhere there. But the skin will go in whenever the strings are tightened, so that will adjust the height, and I may have to adjust the neck again. And then I just used a wood screw inside to temporarily give me the height. I need to keep that knob there because I can't take it off, because it's so firmly glued in that I could split the wood or drill it out and all that sort of thing. So and it also gives me a little bit of support. The one thing I don't have confidence is just a wood screw to hold it in when the strings put pressure on it, right? So it needs something big, better than a wood screw. So I have a wood screw to take its place. It's a stainless steel wood screw. It's larger. I'm going to drill through this, fill it with wood glue, make sure it's nice and firm, and put that in straight into the, hello Georgie girl, right, and use a washer. Now the washer I'm going to be forced to use is going to have to be, because I don't want to take that knob off, is going to have to be sliced a little bit at the bottom so that it'll fit right straight. Now that gives me, I believe it'll give me a good strong neck for when the strings put tension on. So I've looked at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a threaded bar, and I'm going to just put a threaded bar in there with a nut and washer there, a nut and washer there, a nut and washer there, a nut and washer there. Unfortunately, you're going to see the nut there, and you're going to see the washers, and the nut and the washer you're going to see there. I'm going to have to trim the nut and washer again flat, but that will give me the strength there. It'll also give me adjustability, so I can tighten the nut and bring that in or bring it out, whatever I need. So it'll give me a little bit more adjustment on the neck, because this is 10.5 inches and this is 10 3/4 inches. So it will allow me to make that circular again if it's important. It's not particularly important, and Georgie girl has said I must stop talking. She wants me to nurse her. But I think I've gone through everything what I've told you about. And then this has to go back on again at the front, even though it's only a 4 string one, but the hole will have to be filled in, etc. Blah blah blah. That's minor stuff, but that's what I'm going to be doing. when Georgia girl allows me to. No, she wants what's up on my shoulder now. So that's the plan, and I'll take you through it as I do it. Ha! It's poetic. I don't trust it. I don't trust that bar, and I don't trust that screw to hold it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that bar out. Hopefully it doesn't go in too far, and we'll see. I'm going to try cutting it first flush, because what I want to do is put the hole in there and use a big screw that I got somewhere. Instead of the stainless screw, wood screw, I want to put that in, right? I didn't like the idea of putting it in there for two reasons. It would need a big washer, and we don't have the room, and I had to take a little chip out of that for the nut that is going on the other side, so it left it too much energy to go on just one. So I'm going to cut that now flush, and then I'm going to put a screw in it, but I'm going to drill a hole in this bracket right in the center for the screw, and then I'll put the 4 screws on the inside to tighten it. There's my phone, bloody nuisance. Anyway, that's going to go on the inside of the banjolin. That's going to be like a major washer holding it, and the screw will go through that and hold it all tighter, and I feel more secure doing that rather than depending on just one wood screw. So I'm going to take that away now. Flush. Well, that was a bit of a marathon, and I had to change my plans several times. It always happens to me anyway. I have the bar in, and I have the plate in, and the screw going through the neck. I had to take a little chunk out of the neck there, but I left 2 side pieces in, which gave me strength. I had to put in 2 pieces of hardwood as a shim, because I needed a slightly thicker shim. You can see in there, I'm going to fill that. So what I'm going to do, actually, just before I tell you that, this bar works well. If I want a better angle, I just tighten that up, and it pulls the back in and pulls the neck down. So it acts as a sort of a trim bar, but a Heath Robinson trim bar. So now I'm going to see what else might go wrong with it when I put it all together, and then I'll take it all apart and clean it up and tidy it. When I'm doing the shim, I'm going to put in something fairly firm there to hold it. It's a good strong shim, but I don't like the gap. But we'll see what it's like when I get down the road. Okay. This is the Banjolin. This video was going to be fun. This video was going to be fun to edit. That's the final for the neck, and I had to put a bolt on the outside and take a little bit away, as you see, and a bolt on that side. The tailpiece is bolted on with one of those locking nuts, and if you remember, it had that piece of wood in it before. Now it's a stronger, and it can be adjusted. It's nice and tight. I can't do much with that. It's okay. It's better than it was, but that's the inside. This is going to be hell to edit, because this has taken months to do. So we're all flying along marvelously, getting the strings on, and then I heard a little creak. And a little creak, so I had to take the banjo off, because I think we got a little bit of a problem. What had happened is that the bolt screw that I put in isn't holding it, and the neck is coming away. It was a pretty big bolt screw, but I think a lot of screws have been used over the years, and the hole that I put it into has got worn away, so I'm going to have to take that off, fill the hole. I don't think I'm going to go crazy with what I fill it with. I'm going to fill it probably with sawdust, hardwood sawdust powder, and some wood glue, and then drill it out again and put that same screw in. I might use 1 or 2 of these at the side to go into the neck as well, just to give it a little bit more room. But it's another job to do. Well, that's one thing I forgot about. The pole that was glued in there, remember the one that's going the whole way back? It's made of very soft wood. So It's well glued in though, so what I'm going to have to do is drill that out a little bit and put a plug of hardwood in. That was a job and a half. I had to strip that bar out completely, and you can't see it, but there's another screw and washer in there below. I had to drill that out a full length of the drill so that I get a long solid screw in there. This one here, I filled up the hole with hardwood dust and tight bond, and then I tightened that screw a little bit, didn't go crazy. Going to let that sit 3 days at least to harden. Whether I tighten it again or not is another thing, I'm not sure, because that screw could hold it properly with that's not completely loose. I haven't put any screws into the hole or not, because I didn't want to put any more holes in the neck if I had to. So we're going to wait 3 days to let that really super harden, and then come back and put the strings on and see what happens. So we're back at this again. I've taken it all apart, the neck. I wasn't happy, and I'm looking at the physics of it. This bar here going across adjusts the tension that way, but because it's so high up, it's adjusting the tension. Let me give you an idea. For example, in my hand, it's adjusting the tension, and the neck this way, this bottom part, can move because there's nothing solid holding the bottom part. So in other words, we have a situation where, I believe, if you pretend that's the wall of it, where the bar is holding it, but as the strings tighten, it pulls in the drum at the bottom like that at the side. So I've looked at all sorts of ways, and the only thing I can think of doing is maybe not using Grandpa's wedge, but using a dowel at the very bottom of this, like that. That's a much narrower dowel than Grandpa's, and putting it from the very bottom, touching there, to the very bottom, but wedged in. I can't put any screws in that end, and I can't put any screws in that end, so it has to be wedged in. Just to take, I'll measure the height, the width from there to there, and measure the dowel to make sure it's exactly the same bottom and top. And that's the reason I'm doing that, is because when I put the bridge on, the bridge pressed against the skin and went down far too far, and the neck that was eventually straight went like that. So there's something it wasn't the tightening. Tightening was fine. Something was giving away on the inside. And if you look at that, that's just a circle. And if you squeeze that circle, you can make it move, which is to its advantage. But it also, if you can squeeze the circle at the bottom, you get the bottom moving in and the top moving out. So we have to put something in there to contradict that. Counteract that. Contradict, counteract, yeah. Now, to prove my theory, this is tightened up exactly 10.5 inches, 10.5 inches exactly. This is tight, but not overly tight. It can be moved, a little bit of pressure. And so this is tight as well. It's not tidied up yet. I have to fix it and tidy it up. So what's going to prove my theory, if my theory is correct, is that at the moment I have the bridge in and the strings are sitting flat to the bottom. They've got a capo on at the moment holding me in place. So when I tighten that up, I expect this to go down and the neck to come forward. Now, if it doesn't come forward, then I'll put the shim back on this again and cheat a bit more. But what's going to test my theory is when I put these strings on properly and tighten it. And after I've tightened it and everything's right, if that is really firm, then I'll know that the outside is being pushed in. I think banjos usually have 2 bars, but I can't remember now. Now, I had a beautiful little piece of rosewood, which cost me a fortune, and I've shaped it to the shape of the bridge and extended the bridge upwards. Once it's glued, I'll shape it even more to get it merged in, and then it'll go on top, because I've got very good action now. and too good. No, a very good action indeed, and everything's back together and it's nice and solid. That's the thing that worried me the most, whether it was solid or not, because these things, you know, you can get them temporarily fixed and they play for you there and then you find out 3 months later that it's all gone to hell. But that's nice and solid, and I look forward to the rosewood drying, and then I can get it all stuck together and play a little tune. Well, that's that done. It's nice banjolin. The skin is very old, so it's more flexible than normal. I can't tighten it as much as I would really want to tighten it, but it's nice and tight. The problem with it is that because it's old, it's stretching, and it's hard to keep the mandolin in tune. You just got to keep retuning it. Eventually it'll find its own tension. It won't continue to stretch, it'll find a tension of its own. I've rebuilt the bridge. I put a nice little piece of rosewood on it and it matches up nicely. I've been keep tuning it and tuning it and tuning it. And what happens is it goes out of tune constantly across the strings, so it's hard to notice it. It's a very nice little sound. Making up my own words to my own tune. So it'd be G, oh G, it's C, oh G, it's G again, and then it's D, I think it's C, and then it's G again. It's G. I forget now what the chord. I don't know anything to do with mandolin. Let me just see. Right, okay, it's G. G's that. G, and then it's C, then it's G, then it's D, oh then it's G, 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 and it's C, 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 and it's G, 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 G. That's too much for me. That's it. Say goodbye to it.